Overwatch is a fantastic game with a deep and interesting lore, but the game doesn't put it all out on the table. Here are 5 dark Overwatch backstories that the game doesn't tell you. Number 1. Mei is pretty happy for having such a horrible life. Though Overwatch takes place 60 years in the future, most of the world's important events happened decades before. See, about 30 years before the game takes place, Mei Ling Zhao was working in Overwatch's Antarctic station when the base was hit by a massive polar storm. The snowed-in scientists hopped into their cryostasis pods as a last-ditch effort to survive, but help never arrived. Decades passed. One by one, the life support pods failed, causing scientists to wake up and die horribly, locked in their cryopods. Miraculously, Mei's pod continued working and she awoke to a changed world, one without Overwatch and with an even worse climate than before. But she didn't let that get her down. All of her coworkers died. She missed out on what should have been the prime of her life, and yet she still starts matches saying things like, "The world is worth fighting for." At heart, Mei just wants to make the planet a better place. Number 2. The Amna Crisis is just a fancy word for Judgment Day. For a while there, humanity was living pretty peacefully with consumer-grade robots called the Omnics. But when it was discovered that the Omnica Corporation was fraudulent and up to no goodery, Omnica was shut down for good and their bots were deactivated. The Omnics were understandably a tad upset about this. Naturally, nobody saw the violent AI uprising coming. The deactivated Omnics went ahead and reactivated themselves and started hijacking military hardware. It was around this time that Overwatch came about, formed as a strike team to battle the Omnics. The Omnica Corporation had set up these automated, self-sustained robot mills all over that would constantly improve the robots coming off the assembly line, essentially creating a never-ending stream of self-improving soldiers. So why not just blow up these factories? Well, someone did, and that's how we got these jerks. After a brief and unsteady peace, the Australian Liberation Front came together to fight against the Omnics, and with the help of the man who would become Roadhog, they destroyed the main Omnium on the continent. They didn't really think that part through though. Omniums are fueled by fusion cores, and when these are destroyed, the surrounding land becomes a bit of a nuclear wasteland. It was out of this Mad-Maxian hellscape that a scavenger named Junkrat met a newly deformed Roadhog, and the two went on to become international criminals. And this is what you get when you don't play nice with robots. Number 3. Mercy saved Genji and created Reaper. Like many other members of Overwatch, Mercy has been around since the old days. And as a medic class, it only makes sense that Angela Ziegler would be the Overwatch team's resident doctor. And as nice as it is to be on the receiving end of Mercy's healing beam, it could be argued that she takes her incredible medical knowledge just a little too far sometimes. Just ask Genji. Genji was once part of the Shimada clan. For the longest time, Genji was kind of a terrible ninja, forgoing his training in favor of living it up in the lap of luxury. At some point, Mercy brought Genji back from the brink, and with the help of Overwatch, Mercy and her team outfitted Genji with advanced cybernetics, which allowed him to systematically tear apart the Shimada clan and their criminal empire. But after his revenge was complete, there really wasn't anywhere for Genji to go. Humans reviled him for being half machine, and he wasn't exactly at home with the Omnics. It was only under the mentorship of Zenyatta that Genji came to grips with himself and his new form. Mercy has something of a habit of playing around with people's lives in the interest of science. Exhibit B, Reaper. Like Genji, Gabriel Reyes also had a brush with death before being saved by Mercy after a fight with Soldier 76. Changing his name to Reaper, Reyes engaged in terrorist acts across the world. Reaper's cells were rapidly decaying at the same time that they were rapidly regenerating, leaving his body in a nebulous state of limbo. Those desiccated corpses in Reaper's wake are likely a result of him sucking their life force to stay stable. Whether or not Mercy went too far in her work to bring back her old friends still seems unclear. Either way, all will be forgiven if she will just tell us what skin cream she uses. Come on! What's your secret? Number 4. The assassination of Mondatta. In the animated short Alive, we learn a little more about Widowmaker as she attempts to kill the Omnic leader Tekartha Mondatta. Mondatta and his group, the Shambali, believed that every Omnic had a soul and wished to live in harmony with the humans. But that didn't stop Widowmaker from icing them all the same. Immediately after the assassination, Tracer tackles Widowmaker and demands to know, why would you want to kill Robot Gandhi? For Widowmaker, the answer's probably pretty simple. She enjoys the act of murder. But her organization Talon obviously put her up to the job, and it's still not entirely clear what their endgame is. Was it for money, or chaos, or just hatred of robots? Who knows? In any case, a statue of Mondatta now stands in the place where he was killed. In death, Mondatta has become a martyr for a righteous cause, likely becoming far more effective as an iconic figure than as a mortal being, which in retrospect was a pretty predictable outcome. Maybe these Talon guys really do want to make the world a better place. With bullets. Number 5. The Fall of Overwatch. The game's entire premise of heroes regrouping after a long time off the job relies on the fact that the band had to break up in the first place. A lot of things took their toll on Overwatch, but the most controversy centered around Overwatch's covert ops team, Blackwatch. Right away, Blackwatch had a big problem, and his name was Gabriel Reyes, who had a big beef with John Morrison. The two were at odds until the very end, and the existence of Blackwatch had just been revealed to the public when Overwatch's Swiss headquarters was mysteriously destroyed. The in-universe media isn't clear on just what brought the building crumbling down, but it's pretty clear to us what happened. There was a mutiny within Overwatch, and the resulting civil war destroyed the group from the inside. Morrison and Reyes were supposedly killed during the event, but we know they both live on as Soldier 76 and Reaper respectively. This marked the end of an era, and the team disbanded. Though most of the remaining members scattered to the wind, there were others that seemingly joined the sides of the terrorists. Jesse McCree ran afoul of several Talon operatives in a special comic, and noted that they were using tactics once utilized by Blackwatch. He should know since he used to be part of Blackwatch himself. That Talon has its hands on the Blackwatch playbook shouldn't be too surprising since Reyes joined the ranks as Reaper. Of course, we know that Overwatch reformed, though now it's unsanctioned by the UN and wholly illegal. And now that the new team seems to be free of the bad apples that plagued its first iteration, they can get started on making the world a safer place without worrying about internal politics. And first item on the agenda is escorting this floating truck for like 500 yards. That sounds good.